Hiya, Phil. Can you hear me?
Hello.
Looks like it's
You
me
all
and you so far.
Yeah. Somebody else is jumping on the other one, so I'll come on yours. So if you can make me co-host, just so that once you're off.
How do we do that?
So I think if you go down to the bottom on participants,
Yeah.
click on that and then find my name on more.
Yeah.
I think it should say make host or make co-host.
Make host. That's
Okay,
it.
yeah.
You're in control.
Great.
I'll still be able to share my screen because I've got a bit of a presentation now, won't I?
Yeah.
That's fine.
I think so. If you just, can you see your share screen still at the bottom?
Yeah, it's still lit up green. I've just been testing it beforehand, so.
Right, yeah, that's fine then.
So we'll see if we get anybody. Come on.
Yeah.
If not, if we don't get it within the first 5-10 minutes, then we'll call this one a day. You can jump on another one. I might jump on another one and I'll come back to it at 1:30. If that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, and then if there's only me on the second one, we'll film it anyway, if that's all right.
Yeah, I'll go through the presentation, I'll discuss it, and then we'll film it from that perspective.
Because then we can release it later. Because I think the big views on these workshops is going to be the after views, if you will.
Yeah, because if not everybody can be in everyone, so yeah, they need to prioritize.
Yeah, we'll put them all online, and then people can pick them up then.
Yeah, no problem. So, how are you keeping? All right?
Yeah, not bad. Yeah.
Sure.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm okay. I've done working with Simon and getting the design stuff ready, so I'm hoping to present like the first drafts of the new look and titles and things like that, and then trying to get across what it is to people. It was interesting in the conversations on the last sessions. One of the ladies from the Village People said, "How do I find out what's on?" And I was trying to desperately jump in there, but
yeah,
we'll get in touch. We'll get the message out somehow. And maybe
you're right. Yeah,
maybe the next community call we'll discuss it, and I'll represent from that perception, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and that's where the directory kind of picks up that old school free press, doesn't it?
Yep. The one thing that I did private message them, said we've done a Hazard and Community Link has worked with Lancaster University and some other work, and part of that was to create a newsletter. On which, sorry, you're going to let Leah in. Good afternoon, Leah.
Hi, sorry, it's Tina actually.
Oh, okay. Nice to meet you,
I'm
Tina.
going to change my name. I always come up as Leah for some reason. And apologies, my video's not on. Connection on the internet isn't great today. So if I keep my video off, it means I don't lose connection.
Not a problem.
So, nice to see you again.
Where are you from, Tina?
I'm starting to Sport England. I think we've met before, Andrew.
We have on the tap calls.
Yeah.
No problem.
It's been a brilliant morning so far.
Fantastic, hasn't it?
Yeah, no, it's been fantastic.
Yeah, it's great. I've really enjoyed it so far. Some very interested and passionate people on it, which is always inspiring, isn't it?
Yeah. Do you know what though? It's made it very real, very authentic, and you can just see the kind of community coming together. It's live. You can see it in the room.
I think one of the things that I picked up on from myself is because I'm from a private sector background, coming into this sector and being used to language and acronyms and all that sort of corporate speak. It's a very clear message to connect with those communities. You've got to speak in terms that like you down the pub. I think you mentioned that, Phil, didn't you?
Yeah.
And it's that trying to word my services and information in ways that resonates and connects to them.
Absolutely.
But equally, making sure I'm trying to find out how I can connect with them to develop the services that I'm offering in terms that meets their needs. Right, Jamie's point about the data was also very valid. But yeah, so it's interesting. Oh, you managed to change your name. We got you sorted.
Yes, there you go. No, I totally agree with you, Andrew. And actually, as an organisation, we're really grappling with that ourselves, and have really learned from the work, certainly in Pennine Lancashire so far, about that use of language. And it's not only with kind of communities and residents, it's actually between professional organisations.
Yeah.
So we sit in our sector and we have a language, and we'll be talking to a colleague in public health, and they don't know what we're talking about, and we don't understand what they're talking about. So it's cross sectors, even from a professional perspective. So we even yesterday had a conversation about our new strategy going forward, and again, how the language in that just needs to take on board everything that Pennine Lancashire are doing to just take it back to basics, be simple, you know, speak the way you speak, and just make it easy for everyone to engage with.
Yeah, no, totally agree. Totally agree. I think we'll give it another couple of minutes to see if we get any more participants. It could be just the three musketeers here. We'll see where we go. But yeah, some very interesting stuff. It was inspiring listening to Samara's case.
Oh, she was fabulous.
That was brilliant, and you know, for the little contact that I've had with the community. Sounds awful like we're a community centre, but the responses to things like our holiday hunger have been overwhelming. We had a bit of funding to do some bits and bobs with, but when I posted out that what we were offering, the amount of cash and money donation, cash and food donations coming was mind blowing. So there is an absolute desire out there within the community to help where they can. They just need to know where to go.
Yeah, definitely. Totally agree.
Good afternoon, Simon.
Good afternoon, how are you?
Very well, thank you. Yourself?
Yep, not so bad.
Jolly good.
Just a bit wonky, but no better. I've made it worse. I'm on my phone and I'm constantly being kind of called, and so if I disappear, that's probably why, but I'm around.
No problem. So, I mean, I'm hosting this. However, Phil's going to be facilitating and spotting for people asking questions or putting a hand up, recording it, and also putting people on mute or not, if that's okay. But we will be recording this one, I think. Don't you think? Agree, Phil?
Yeah, I think we'll record this. Yeah.
Yeah, no problem. We'll give it one more minute, I think, to see if anybody else wants to join us, and then we'll crack into it. Hopefully, you know, it's something that resonates. Well, clearly, Simon, you're involved in my project anyway. You have a vested interest, and Phil's very aware of it. But Tina might be interested to know what we're trying to do at a community level, away from, I suppose, statutory bodies and things like that. So it's interesting to see what we're trying to do for our community from that perspective. Okay, what I will do is might as well start now. So you all know me, apart from Tina, but we have met briefly. I'm Hazard, General Manager at Hazard Community Link, and I'm here to talk about connecting communities. And one of the things that came out of the Rossendale Connected was the ability to use websites and information sources in one central place. And I'm going to introduce the concept as it is at the moment, but it's a concept absolutely in design. And we're hoping for a December launch. I'm looking at Simon there because he's the one doing the development for me. But we can discuss that later. But I'm going to share a slideshow with you just to let you know what we're trying to do. And I'll talk you through what Rossendale Community Directory is all about. So just bear with me. You can all see that, yes?
No, I can't, Andrew.
Just hold on. Let's escape that. I'll close it down. Let me share that screen again. Right, Phil, you might have to help me with this because the host is disabled part of the screen.
Let me just.
Do you want to get
back?
Yeah.
Right, so you are now the host again, Andrew. Try that.
Not a problem. I'll try and keep my eye on anybody who wants to pop in. So let's try that one again. So, share.
Perfect.
Can we see this?
Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. Right. So just a very short presentation just to tell you a little bit about Rossendale Community Directory. And it's for the community, by the community, for the community. It is totally based around community services. So a little bit of background from where do we come from. The concept of a community directory is not new within Rossendale. And previously there was an organisation called Real, which people are familiar with. So we're not reinventing the wheel. We're just having to go through a rebranding because Real as an entity ceased to exist. But the Real Community, Connecting Our Communities website was set up for the purposes of hosting information, contact details, services that were of a direct benefit to the community and predominantly delivered by the community, but by other statutory bodies and health and social care bodies and the local NHS and GPs and people like that. It is not a business to business type site. It's more of a community to community site, which is a different feel about it. It's been around for quite a while, and it did expand with some funding from the CCG into the Hyndburn, Pendle areas as well. But it's then ceased in 2019 because the funding dried up basically, and the websites were split out. Haslingden Community Link, where I'm from, were offered the website and a small pot of money to maintain and keep it going under the proviso that we had to rebrand because Real was no longer a traded identity. So that was all took place towards the latter end of last year. However, as we all know, COVID kicked in and that put a massive halt on a lot of things. So one of the reasons why we're changing, as I said, this was administered by, the website Real was administered by veterans in the community for a short period before it was handed to us. But we have to change for legal reasons. What came apparent though was this is a draft image of how we want to present ourselves. This is in design as we speak, and Sam and I are discussing this. But it is community information from Rossendale, and it has things like care navigation, volunteering opportunities, living and working in the area, information for patients. So it's really community focused and community centric. And it was really, this got revitalised because of the work that started to come out of the Rossendale Connected. So Phil knows very well that we've been involved in that group for virtually since the start. And through discussions that we saw that we needed a place to go that wasn't necessarily connected to the Rossendale Borough Council, had some independence and was run by a community for the community. Hence, we wanted to revitalise the Rossendale Community Directory and reconvert Real into that community directory. It's about working together, and it's a place, one-stop shop, I suppose, for people to go and find out what they need to know, or if they're searching for information. As one of the ladies said on the earlier discussions, it's about where do I find out what's going on in Haslingden, and where do I find out what's going on in Waterford, where do I find out what's going on in Crossy Booth. It's that site where people can go and find things. And whilst all the community groups are strong in our own essence, we're not specialists in everything. Therefore, it's useful for community groups to say, oh, we don't do this, but there's a site here, this group might do that for you, might be able to go to that. So it's a place where community groups can signpost people in a community in need as well. So, and it fits perfectly with that Rossendale Connected ethos of everybody working together in a collaborative way. So why is it, what's going to be different about this than the Real? Well, one of the biggest challenges about the Real Directory, as good as it was quite challenging to navigate, and that's something Simon and I are working on to develop to make it much easier to navigate. But it is run by the community. HCL hosts it, HCL will the administration of it, but it's not ours as I see it. It's the community site, so it's for people in the community to use. One of the other things that we want to talk about is it has to be simple to use, and that also means much easier to navigate. The biggest challenge, as I said earlier, was navigating was quite difficult. It was quite weighty, quite clunky, and that's something we're working on. And one of those areas that came back through some feedback over the summer when we talked about revitalising Real was they wanted some town-specific pages. So, you know, hopefully, you know, with working with Simon, we can get that so that people can click on what's on in Haslingden and see what's going on in those areas and all the other groups around there. One of the questions I'm sure people will be asking is, why should they get involved? Well, and as I said earlier on, this is our connecting our communities. This is a one-stop shop web directory of all the community-based services within Rossendale. That's what we're aspiring for this place to be. It's also free to use for community groups, constituted groups and charities. There is no charge to post your details on there, advertise events on there. It's not, as I said, it's not a business-to-business site. It's a community site. It's a place where you can hopefully recruit volunteers. We can link you with the CVS. We can give you some advice and guidance about how to set up your own policies. But it will help raise your profile across the wider Rossendale community within other groups and hopefully within their communities. It takes away the need to set up your own website and have lots of disparate websites all trying to do the same similar thing. I'm sure they'll all be great. However, this just brings it under one umbrella of a community site under the Rossendale Connected ethos. And also you like to see what other people are doing and maybe give us some inspiration and ideas of what you could do as a community group if you come across needs that you've not identified before. It's also a place where we can get information from the primary care networks, GPs, care navigations, and for social prescribing, which is a key theme that's coming out from GPs, is if they don't want to prescribe drugs, want to provide or prescribe alternative activities to help with things like depression, loneliness, so anxiety, it might be that they will use this site with the social prescribers to signpost people within the community to something that's not a prescribed medication and an alternative therapy, I suppose, is a good way of putting it. But I think most importantly, it is run by the community for the community. And I'll keep stressing that because the Borough Council, while they support this, feel that if they were seen to be heavily involved in it, it would just become, just another extension of the Borough Council. And it has some local political agenda or things like that, and it absolutely is not. It is purely for the people in the community. So as I say, where are we now? As I say, we're in design brief. This is our first draft of the palettes and colours and logos that we're very keen on. It's fresh, it's clean, it's new. We hope people like it. The web structure is being built as we speak, and as I said, we're hoping to have an early December launch, probably post-lockdown would be sensible. But that's our plan to get this launched out into the community. Finally, how do we get people involved? Well, at the moment, there is no web address for the site. However, people can contact us by the email there, info@hl.org. Expression of interest that you want to be involved. We've already got the forms ready to sign out to people so they can give us some contact details. We can then populate the site with that. Alternatively, they can ring us up and we'll email them direct. But that is it really. It's about, please get involved, please use it. It's for us, it's for our communities. And we can only see it as a benefit as a way of connecting our communities on a digital level. One thing that did come out of the meeting was a view that a newsletter would also be very, very useful. Hazelden Community Link has, in the past, as I mentioned, done newsletters, and I think we would like to see how we can expand that using the community directory theme, expand that on at least a 6-monthly basis, so we create a paper-based newsletter that can be distributed through our community partners within their communities. We've got that network so the distribution infrastructure is already there. So I think that would be a great opportunity to do that. I'm going to stop sharing now, and then if anybody's got any questions, please feel free to ask.
Thanks very much for that, Andrew. Can I just share a bit of a reflection and a couple of questions?
Certainly.
Okay. I think it's brilliant, and I think certainly the work that I'm involved in and our organisation, it is about connecting people to things. I think we all recognise there is so much going on within communities. The key is how do we actually get that information to people and connect them. I think I've kind of worked certainly within sport all my career, and we've always produced directories, and I think what we found is they're only as good as the information that's being provided. And I think before Rossendale Connected was established, I think if I'd have heard this, I probably would have had a bit of a concern of, well, how is that going to become live? How is that regularly updated? How does it become a live directory, which is what it's needed? But I think the fact that you're saying it's owned by the community really gives it that that reassurance that will happen. And I suppose I'm just really interested to know on that. I suppose it's linked to the design. Have the community been involved in actually the design of it?
I think to answer that question, the community have been involved in the design that we sent out a brief, explained that we were reinventing wheel, wanted feedback. And the main feedback, everybody thought there was a massive benefit with it. However, the reservation was around the navigation. And one of the key, Chris Bremer's on this morning, one of the key participants suggested it would be much easier and simpler if it was a town by town tab on there. We could split it up so they could go direct to their own town and do it that way. So yes, there has been some level of consultation within that. I suppose for the necessity of speed, we've taken what was originally there and we're redoing that because it's, I don't know, Sam will be able to add on to this, but that seems to be the fastest and simplest way to get this live at the moment. But yes, there's a consultation. We've committed at HCL to manage updates on a weekly basis. We have a process in place, which once we're launched, we can communicate that. And we're going to try and be proactive in keep reminding organisations, have you anything more you need to put it, so we can maintain that, keeping it fresh, keeping it current, because that's another critique of the real website. Yeah.
Brilliant. And I think the other thing I was going to ask was about how it can be used again from, you mentioned the social prescribers, the PCNs, because I think that's going to be absolutely critical. So have you had much or conversations with them already about how they're going to use it and that they actually are? Because I think that'd be brilliant.
Well, so with the part of the consultation, there was a wide range of groups. There was counsellors in there, but they also had the CVS and the social prescribers involved. That we had Andy Leverty from the PCN as well. So yes, and Andy Leverty is very keen to utilise this. Social prescribers don't have an alternative platform at this stage to which they can find out what's going on at a local level very, very quickly. So yes, I think there's definitely some keen people to engage, wish to engage with it and utilise it for that purposes.
Fantastic. No, I think it's brilliant.
Thank you very much.
Interestingly, I think the 4 people that are on here, coincidentally, have all been involved in conversations around this website and the real directory. So just for Tina's benefit, I guess, one of our learnings for the Strengthening Networks projects we're looking at is myself and Andrew were having discussions of how we can kind of formalize Rossendale Connected and the directory. Just because we didn't want it to go away and we wanted to support it somehow and, you know, see what collaborations we can do. But through our discussions, so through Andrew's board of directors and kind of ourselves as TAF, we came to the conclusion that we didn't need to formalise it. And we were heading down that path, but we kept getting, for whatever reason, it wasn't a verbal barrier, if you will. It was just it's really difficult to form a constitution because that's what we would have had to do to protect each other's assets and, you know, make sure that intellectual property, and there was all that conversation. So I think through conversations and just learning, I think we came to the conclusion that, well, we don't need to have that formal constitution. We can still work together. So that's where we're at this stage, where Andrew is moving forward with the Rossendale Community Directory and Rossendale Connected and moving forward, but without that constitution in place. We're just working together because we went through that path and journey, we thought, well, why are we going through this process? We can just do it anyway.
And I think that's brilliant. And I think that just shows again the strength of Rossendale Connected as a hub, you know, and it goes back to Andrew's point about this being owned by the community. It's, you know, it doesn't belong to the council, it belongs to everybody, and you're all part of that, whether as organisations, businesses, you know, residents. It is owned by everyone, and you don't need that. And I think to break that traditional approach of we need to have the, you know, constitutions in place and everything else is fantastic.
Yeah, and I think we all still feel a part of the directory, you know, even though it's not, it is ours, if you will, just like Rossendale Connected is everyone's, you know, so that still carries on, doesn't it? So that was some key learning that we're feeding back of this journey, that, or example, if you will.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. If there's nothing else, I think we can let people go. I appreciate you attending for this, and I do appreciate the feedback. It's all very helpful, particularly Tina, with you say you've had experience of director, so that's a good learn for me to understand some of the challenges that could lay ahead or endemic in running this type of service. But yeah, thank you very much for your input. Appreciate that.
No,
Okay.
you're welcome. I think what you're doing is fantastic, and my own experience again has been at a very local level where we've, you know, put together directories, but it's that how you maintain that going forward is the challenge.
Yeah. I don't
Look
underestimate
forward
that
to
challenge.
seeing it progress and really what comes of it, but it's great.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Okay, well, thank you very much. I'll end this and I'll let everybody go, and I'll see anybody that's coming on the next one. Thank you very much.
See you later. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Andrew.
You guys.